Welcome to week 6 out of 20 of building the healthiest version of me. Maya is the star of the show today. So this week's reel, I decided to start almost like a mini series within the series that I'm currently doing. I get so many questions about my training, and I just thought it would be a really easy way to share a little bit about my training through the next couple of weeks. So I've split the mini series into squats, bench and deadlift, just to give you a little idea of how I warm up for each of them, and then what I do for those lifts each week. I just want to say, I am not a powerlifting coach, hence why I don't write my own program. I don't program for powerlifting. I also pay for my coach and my powerlifting program, so I'm not going to give you kind of the in-depth details that mean that you can go away and apply that to your own training, because if you want to do that, go and hire Callum as your coach. But I am just going to share a little bit into what I do, because I know people are interested and not everybody understands or knows how you would train as a powerlifter. So yeah, hopefully it's an interesting little insight into my training. This week was squats, and I'm going to see if I can share videos like here as well, just whilst I'm talking through this next bit, but I'm not 100% sure if my editing skills are quite there yet, so we shall see. So first up, I train 3 times a week, and each session has squat, bench, dead, either 2 or 3, with 2 or 3 of the lifts within the session, and then my accessories. I squat twice a week, I bench 3 times a week, and I deadlift twice a week. So the last session of my week is usually an SBD session, which means it involves all 3, and then the other 2 sessions are split with accessories. I have shared in my reel my squat warm-up, so I always start for all 3 lifts with the foam roller, just to get the blood flowing, just to kind of tease out any niggles or aches from previous training. And I usually tend to focus hamstrings, glutes, quads and back. I then do a little bit of lower body stretching usually. So in the reel I shared, I'm doing 90-90 hip openers. I sometimes do some adductor rocks, just if I'm aching there. I always find after heavy squats that my adductors are the most affected area. I will sometimes do some kind of physio work in there, so I might use the adductor machine, I might do some single leg glute bridges, I might do some hip flexor work with a band, that type of thing. I then do a little bit of upper body stretching. So since moving to a kind of low bar squat, I find that getting my wrists and back, or like wrists and like shoulder into that position needs a little bit of warming up before I can just get that bar nice and low. And I actually saw Beth from the DBD team doing some like banded face pulls and just really pulling into that position where you would be holding the bar, and just thought that was a really good idea. So I've actually started doing that in my warm-ups as well. I then do some band work and some jump work. The jumps in my reel are just kind of on the floor. Sometimes, depending on the space and equipment around, I'll do a box jump instead, and that is just to get my body feeling prepped and ready to produce as much power and force through my squat as possible. Then you'll see my kind of warm-up sets leading up to I think it's a heavy paused squat, and that would have been my second session of the week. The first session of the week is a heavy competition squat, and this block in particular is included has included singles as my top sets. My first session of the week also then has a heavy triple as well, which coach actually told me was the focus of that session. So I finished the block now and managed to finish with an 80 kg triple, which I was super happy with, and a 90 kilogram single, which again, over the moon. And then after that I do my back off sets. But in a nutshell, that is the squat training. I have seen a huge transformation with my squats over the last 4 years. If you've seen my next Instagram reel, I actually managed to find a video where I think I'm in my uni gym, and so it's one of the first gyms I was ever a member of, and I am squatting 60 kilograms, absolutely disgustingly. I hate watching that video, but I filmed that partly because that was a PB, and also because my physio had asked to see a little bit into my squats with weight under the bar. So I managed, that's the only reason I have that video saved. And I managed to find that and compare it to the last squat of this block, which was the 90 kilogram squat. So that transformation is huge, and I do touch a little bit in the caption on, even though there is a lot wrong with the first squat that can't be blamed on my hips, a lot of it did come from the difficulty that I was having. Anyway, I have also been looking back at my videos from my last competition in September, and I would even say my squats have come a long way since then. I have slightly changed my foot position, I have changed where the bar sits on my back, and I just feel like I'm a lot more dialed in. There is one focus point that I am now carrying into the next block to hopefully bring them a step further. But overall, really happy with my squats. So that is what this week's reel has been about, showing you into my training. This week, admittedly, has been a really, what's the right word? Just untracked, little effort nutrition week. I honestly just made sure I was eating breakfast and stuck to my meal prep, but didn't pay too much attention around that. And I've had a really busy week at work, which I think is probably the only reason why that's happened. But it's also not the end of the world. So I am getting back on track and just forgetting that I've had a couple of days off piece. And they've not even been particularly bad. I just haven't been super focused, which I would like to have been, but that's absolutely fine. Next week's reel is going to be around bench press, and I'm now about to trawl through a hard drive and try and find some old bench press videos. And then the following week will be deadlifts. So you will get to see all 3 lifts, and I'm going to try and find comparison videos for all of them as well. And hopefully that answers a couple of questions around my training and is an interesting insight into my training. Now, I did actually get a couple of questions this week, which I am going to go through. So the first 2 are my favourite thing about being a PT and my biggest struggle being a PT. And I think there are so many things that are my favourite thing about being a PT. My first thing is just being a hype girl for my clients and tracking their progress and seeing them enjoy training and reaching their goals. I especially feel at the minute like the majority of my clients are becoming my friends, and they, you know, like share Instagram reels with me and send me pictures of restaurants they're going to and just their kind of day-to-day life outside of just training and their goals, and just building that relationship with my clients whilst being able to help them feel more confident in their bodies and work towards specific goals is super rewarding and makes the job so much fun. I do absolutely love sharing my knowledge with my clients, and I have a couple in particular that will ask so many questions around why I've written their program how I have and why I'm queuing certain things and that type of thing. And I really enjoy conversations with those clients. So there are so many things that I love being about a PT, and I wouldn't change it at all. I also do really enjoy about the job itself being able to pick and choose my own hours, work actively, so like constantly on my feet and not sat at a desk. And I also just enjoy talking to a wide range of people. I do sometimes feel absolutely knackered and my social battery is depleted, but I do really love that I have kind of 6 to 8 different conversations in depth about other people's lives every single day, which is another perk of the job. So I enjoy most of being a PT. I think my biggest struggle being a PT, which I think a lot of people will agree, is the long hours do sometimes take their hit. Even though a perk is obviously having flexible hours, that does also lead a lot of the time to working long hours. You are trying to please a number of people, and the hours that people want are very similar, obviously around work schedules, and can lead to working several kind of back-to-back sessions, which does take its toll. And even though, again, one of the perks, as I just said, is being active and on your feet all day and not sat at a desk, that does also take a physical toll and can just absolutely knacker you. So I think in terms of difficulties with the actual job, they are definitely 2 of them. I then also think the pressure around hitting numbers just to make sure that the financial gain that you're getting from the sessions you do, which I don't want to go into too much, is always a big thing with being paid per session as a PT. We're not salaried, we're not getting kind of a consistent paycheck every month. It is dependent on what you work and how many people you are training and how many times a week you are training those people. And it is very normal for people to go away over summer and not be around over Christmas, and equally it's very normal to have peaks at the beginning of the year and usually towards the end of the year actually. So having that kind of inconsistency and not necessarily feeling super stable is always a bit of a struggle. But as I said, I wouldn't change it in terms of going down a different career path. They are just kind of the pros and cons of doing the job that we do. The last question is, what are your goals for the rest of the year? And I do actually love this question, and I'm not the kind of person to set New Year's resolutions or really like specific goals in my life in general. I really hate the question of what's your 5-year plan, because my goals chop and change all the time depending on what I really feel is a priority at that time, and some things that I really want to focus on I kind of realise aren't as important in my life as I thought they were. So that really chops and changes. But this year was the first year where I really sat down and made a huge plan around my goals for the year. And I actually sent a massive message to my coach at the beginning of the year explaining a lot of what I wanted to get done in this year. I also set up a huge cork board with everything all over it, just for accountability and to be able to see what I have achieved and keep me on track. And each month I have been, at the end of the month, having a little kind of reflective journaling moment, just to kind of really make sure that I am on track, to notice what I have managed to get done, and then put plans in place for what still needs to be done. And I'm not going to go through absolutely everything, but some of my goals included trying to get a competition in this year, which I don't want to say too much, but I do think will be happening and I will start working towards soon. Also, I set some financial and career goals, which I again have had to kind of keep reviewing each month, and do feel like I am taking baby steps towards, which is always super positive. I also set a huge goal around holidays, and that might sound like a bit of a weird one, but I actually hadn't been abroad since pre-COVID, and it was kind of getting me down. So I set a goal of minimum 3 holidays this year. We obviously went to Mallorca for Ethan's Ironman, and I have been to Copenhagen, which you will have seen at the beginning of this series, and we have tickets to the Paris Olympics next month, so that will be holiday number 3. So that goal for sure is definitely ticked off. I have something coming up in the next couple of weeks, which I am going to be filming, but I'm not 100% sure when I will be uploading that video, and that will be around one of my other goals, and I will share that with you when I can. But I think the biggest goal now for the rest of the year is competing, and I would like my full focus to be around that starting in the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully we'll reveal a competition date soon enough. Anyways, I hope you have enjoyed having a little insight into my squats, and look forward to bench and deadlifts. And thank you for the couple of questions. I will make sure to put up another box, so if there's anything else, do feel free to leave those. And yeah, that is me. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a little comment if you can. Equally, if you want to leave a question in the comments, that's a good place to do that too. And I will see you again next week for week 7. Bye!